So, as I said at the offset, all of the people that are running around the internet right now worried about Donald Trump being the president-elect, worrying about the changes that he's going to implement, they should be worried. They should be worried. The reason why I say they should be worried is because there is a sickness that has infected this beloved country of ours. Now, if you don't know what the sickness is, I'll break it down to you like this. How many of you in here are in my age bracket and you remember what the country used to be like? Press 1 if you remember what this country used to be like, what we used to enjoy. I was watching old commercials last night from the 90s. An advertisement for Red Lobster came on, and they had a lunch special where you could get shrimp and a bunch of other shit. Guess how much the plate was? $3.99. How many of you remember the reason your parents didn't want you to eat out? The reason your parents didn't want you to eat at Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's wasn't because the food was bad, but because it was more expensive than buying groceries. Now, there's literally no difference. There's no difference between whether you go and get groceries or whether you go and buy your meal from a fast food restaurant. And there's literally no difference because both of the quality of the food is equally trash. How many of you remember going to Burger King and getting real burgers? How many of you remember going to these restaurants or buying groceries from the grocery store and you actually got the product you paid for and didn't have to deal with shrinkflation? For those of you that don't know what shrinkflation is, it's when you go to the store and you buy something you used to buy and you think to yourself, am I tripping or did this used to be bigger? You're not tripping. They have been slowly making the products smaller while they have slowly raised the price of those products. Right? Not to mention the fact that with all of the chemicals and dyes and all of the crap they put in the food, they are literally feeding us BS, which is part of the reason RFK Jr. wants to implement things to mitigate that, to try to make America healthy again, right? In addition to that, there are certain things we used to enjoy that we don't get to enjoy anymore. We don't get to go to the movie theaters and enjoy a good movie. And the reason why is because Hollywood has become so woke and so sensitive and so preoccupied with not wanting to offend anybody that you don't get classic movies that had risky comedy in it, like Old School or Animal House or any of these movies that we used to buy that were rated R, and then when they came out on DVD, you could get the unrated version. Because everybody's sensitive. Everybody's afraid you're going to tell a joke that's going to offend somebody. Jokes are supposed to be offensive. That is part of the reason they're funny. Right? In addition to that, we have storylines that make absolutely no sense because they are so desperate to make sure that these special snowflakes that belong to whatever intersectional group you could think of gets included in the movies. I don't know if y'all noticed this or not, but there used to be a time that movie stars were of a certain brand. In other words, when they picked men to play in roles, they picked handsome leading men. When they picked women to be in roles, they picked beautiful women to be in roles. Now, every time you look at a movie, they got some ugly person up there and you're looking like, why are you even on my TV screen? I don't know about y'all, but I don't watch movies to look at ugly people. I don't. I do not. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, when you had all of these people getting on TV that were in shape, that looked good, do you think it's possible that it maybe inspired the average everyday person to strive to be in shape and look good? No. What's going on now is you have all of these mediocre, raggedy looking people, which is giving the American public the impression that it's cool to be raggedy and mediocre. Then, in addition to that, we have one of the biggest mental illness pandemics, if that's the right term, in the history of this country. There are people walking around here right now that are batshit crazy. There used to be a time where if you walked around here acting crazy, saying crazy things, cutting up, acting a fool, a little white truck would pull up and two guys would get out of the truck in white uniforms and they'd say, hey, buddy, you doing all right? And they would grab your ass and put you in the back of that damn truck and take you to a damn nut house so that you didn't affect the rest of us. Now, if you think we don't live in a society now that is filled with people, teeming with people who suffer from mental illness, just go look at the reactions from everybody after Trump got elected. And then ask yourself, as much as we couldn't stand Joe Biden when he got elected, were we behaving like that? When Joe Biden got elected, were we out in the streets screaming at the top of our lungs? Were we on social media yelling and saying that the world was coming to an end? But see, that's an indication of something. It's an indication that these people on the left, these people that advocated for her, these people that represented the Harris campaign, they are lunatics. They need help. Not to mention that you literally have media, supposed journalists that are supposed to be non-biased and report the news as it is. But this past election has proven that these people in the media, they're not non-biased. They may as well come out and say that they are Democrat activists. Because how do you sit your ass on a news media outlet and tell the American people that if they don't vote for this particular candidate, they're crazy? I don't care who you voted for. I don't care if you voted for Trump or you voted for Kamala Harris. Vote your interests and let the chips fall where they may. But guess what? Regardless of who would have won the election, I'm not going to get online and scream at the top of my lungs like some damn brat, like some child that didn't get a candy bar at the grocery store. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with, right? Media that flat out lies to the American people. So much so to the point that they're on the news now acting like this is a tragedy and this is not what the American people want. Excuse me, have you went and looked at that map? Have you went and looked at that map? Have you went and looked at the election results by county? This is the map of the election results by county. Let's zoom in on it. This right here is the election results by county. Now, California is supposed to be a blue state. Look at that. Look at how much of that state is red. Look at how much of this country is red. Guess what, mainstream media? You need to stop sitting on your news media outlets day in and day out, continuing to gaslight the public. This is the reason why you lost the election. Telling them that this is not what the American people want. This is exactly what the American people want. In fact, I'm willing to look at that map right there and tell you that guess what? So what you expect us to believe is that all of the population in the red are the crazy ones and the ones that are populated in the blue are the ones that are sane. That's what you expect us to believe? No. What's going on here is all of what you see in the red are the normal American people who are concerned about their day-to-day lives. And what you see in the blue are the people who are concerned about frivolous bullshit that don't have nothing to do with our day-to-day lives. That small population of progressive snowflakes that live in a damn fantasy world. Now, here's the irony of this, and I said it on my YouTube short. The irony is, when you go look at the election results based on the past few elections, right? Shout out to the lowly one, said VA is the same way. It looks blue, but most of the counties are bloodshot red. This was a landslide victory. But this is the irony of it. When you go and you look at the election results of the past few elections, right? What you will find is that Joe Biden won 20 million more votes than Kamala Harris. Now, like I said in my YouTube short, I don't know why those 20 million people decided not to vote in this election. But to the black folk, all it shows me is that God has an awesome sense of humor because the irony is so sweet. Black folks predominantly voted for Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris didn't get those 20 million votes that Joe Biden got. And what's ironic about it is black people, you're promoting Kamala Harris, a candidate who's promoting abortion. But it is because of that thing right there that you are short 20 million people. It is because of Planned Parenthood and your propensity for utilizing Planned Parenthood as if it's birth control. That's the reason you're missing 20 million votes that could have gave you the margin you needed to elect Kamala. Tell me that's not irony. In addition to the fact that Kamala was able to raise $1 billion in campaign funding and still finished out her campaign $20 million in debt. I told y'all last week, I said, word on the street is that Kamala ran out of money. And so now we have confirmation that she ran out of money. But see, she was banking on winning. So she spent money she didn't have. But this is the person y'all wanted to elect. This is the person y'all wanted to elect. Somebody who went $20 million in debt. Now, here's the other interesting thing about this. Let's see. Let's go over it. Joe Biden got 20 million more votes. Those are 20 million votes that if Kamala got those votes, she could have won. Right? Because Trump ended up getting 5 million more votes than Kamala. Through Planned Parenthood, black folks, you have deleted 20 million babies since 1970? And then Kamala is $20 million in debt. Why does God keep making this 20 million pop up? Almost like he's trying to tell us something. Does anybody find that interesting? Joe Biden got 20 million more votes. Black folk deleted 20 million babies that could have voted for Kamala. Kamala's 20 million in debt. But I'll leave that there. The reason that all of those people that you saw on that map in the blue, the reason that they should be worried is because those people that support Kamala, those average everyday citizens, including the left-leaning media and celebrities or whoever else, those people are trying their best to transform this country into something that is unrecognizable. And I'm not even going to lie. They came very close to doing it. See, what's crazy to me is if you sit down and you try to have a conversation with a lot of these younger folks today, midway through the conversation, you'll be asking yourself, what fucking planet am I on? The level of delusion that this new age society engages in, the programming that this new age society has foisted upon our children has turned them into lunatics. Let me tell you something. If you get into a conversation with a young person and they get into a heated debate with you about pronouns, shout out to Steven. He said, "You're right, AM. These people are insane. You even had Senator Raskin from Maryland saying that they need to block Trump by changing the Constitution." Shout out to Akiak. He said those 20 million would have had kids and grandkids of their own. Had it not been for those 20 million babies gone, we would have been well over 100 million. Facts. Shout out to AIT, said, bro, on everything. You're incredibly inspirational with intellect. You are truly appreciated for keeping it real. I'm getting it together for a channel, no doubt. Like I listen to conversations that young people have nowadays, whether it be in person or whether it be on YouTube. They are crazy. There's no other way to describe it. They're crazy. They are crazy. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I made up my mind after the last conversation I had when I went on This Might Be Risky. I made up my mind. Like anybody that's a Kamala supporter, I'm not even gonna have a conversation with them. I'm not. I'm not. They're not gonna make me crazy. Because you'll go crazy trying to have a conversation with a crazy person. You will lose your mind trying to explain reality to a crazy person. Yeah, they're sick. Yeah, they're sick. And I'm so glad that I've done everything. I've done everything in my power to shield myself from this thought process that they engage in. I've done everything in my power to shield myself from it. Because here's the reality, right? Here's the reality. The reality is this. The media is telling us that Trump is going to be a dictator, that Trump is bad for the country. The people that support Kamala believe this, right? However, the moment that they announced that Trump won the election, guess what happened? Guess what happened? Hamas already called a ceasefire. Netanyahu is ready to put an end to that war. Putin is ready to negotiate for the Ukraine Russia thing to come to a stop. China congratulated Trump and said they look forward to having a peaceful relationship with America. He isn't even in office yet. And they're already falling in line. The moment that it was speculated that he would win, crypto went up. The stock market went up. I tell you something else too that you may not have noticed. I noticed it yesterday. Gas prices dropped. Did anybody else notice that? Did anybody else notice that? Did you notice that gas prices have already dropped? Tell you something else. The president of Mexico already had a conversation with Trump. And Trump told them, y'all need to stop that caravan of people making their way towards America. And guess what? Mexico has already issued troops, sent troops out there, and the troops have already started to put a stop to that caravan that's pouring into the southern border. Now, here's the interesting thing. You have governors and attorney generals of certain states talking about they're not going to allow Trump to deport those that are here illegally. And my only question is, at what point does this become a matter of being illegal? At what point does this become a matter of you breaking your oath to the Constitution? But see, I tell you what, and this is one thing that's real. They have already made it crystal clear that they are not playing this time. See, last time, whether you know it or not, Trump was trying to appease both sides. They had painted him as so much of this and that he was trying his best to make both sides happy. He's not going to do that this time. In fact, his lawyer has already issued a statement to Letitia James. Now, some people are falling in line, some people ain't. The Joe Biden Department of Justice has already started the process of dropping those 2 charges that they had against Trump, because they can't prosecute a sitting president, right? But Letitia James jumps out there and said, we're going to continue to fight and we're going to get Trump. And Trump's lawyer said, let me tell you something, big Letitia James. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but I'll say it like this. He said, first of all, if you continue this lawfare, which is violating the civil rights of Donald Trump, we are going to lock your you-know-what in jail. So you can play if you want to. See, I don't think they realize Trump 2.0 is not going to be nothing to play with. See, they still think that things are going in their direction. They still ain't realized it. They still ain't realized it. They still haven't realized it. They're still running around. They don't even see that the tide has turned. Because see, now at this point, and I don't think they realize this, to the media and all you people that hate Trump, this is what you're not realizing. You're not just going against Donald Trump now. You are now going against the will of the American people. He is now the rightfully, duly elected president-elect. The people chose. And I don't think you realize this is the moment for you to go sit your ass down. But I get why you're concerned. I get why you're concerned, because the world that you were trying to create with all this new age crap and all of this stuff where we focusing on things we don't need to be focused on, and all of this crap, all of that crap you was trying to do, Trump out to put the brakes on that. I get it. I get it. He's about to put the brakes on that. Now, you had somebody the other night that was coming at me talking about he's talking about defunding the Department of Education. Really? Is that what he said? Or did he say that any schools that are teaching critical race theory or trying to teach children about all of those different isms that don't have nothing to do with basic education, have nothing to do with learning to read, write, any of that. Any of those schools teaching those agendas or pushing those political agendas on their children will be defunded. And guess what? I completely agree. I completely and totally agree. See, the only way we're going to fix this country, if you really want to be honest, see, it's too late for some of these individuals. They're going to think this way the rest of their life. The only way we're going to fix this country is this new batch of kids. They have to be taught the way we were taught. And here's another thing that I got to say this. I always say this. I got to keep saying this over and over again. If you do not like this country, why do you continue living here? No one's making you stay here. There is no other country in this world that you could live in and openly curse the country that you're living in. You can't do that in Russia. You can't do that in China. You can't do that in India. You can't do that. We are the only country that is expected not to be patriotic and have a love of our country. We're the only ones. We're the only ones that are not supposed to take pride in being countrymen. And see, right now, whether we want to admit it or not, there are people in media and in government that hate this country, which is the main reason why they're trying to fundamentally change it. Yeah, they want you to hate this country, especially if you black. Right? I was looking at the price of food because that thing about the gas tripped me out yesterday. So I go look at the price of food, right? I go look at the grocery store and I'm tripping at some of these prices. These prices are already started to go down. Here's a bottle of Lighthouse Homestyle Ranch. It was $7.59. They got it on sale for $5.39. Here's a box of caramel vanilla cream K cups for coffee, right? $12.69. It's on sale for $6.49. 8 ounces of Kraft shredded cheese, $5.29, on sale for $4.39. I'm literally looking at. There was one I looked at. Oh, a box of Glad drawstring trash bags. $25.39 a box, on sale for $18.39. Like, bruh, I'm literally looking at this shit. Shout out to Healthy Don't Hurt. Party's over. The Don is in the building. Facts. Jose said, thanks, appreciate you. Like, I am amazed. You hear me? I am amazed. I'm amazed. Shout out to Ricky Madsen for the membership. Shout out to Mike Hawk for the membership. Shout out to the Don. He said, Cat Williams said it. This year, everybody was going to get exposed. But this election right here was the final boss. Shout out to Celine. Celine said, leftists are sick, violent psychopaths who cannot engage in civil discourse with people who disagree. Gen Z lefties are struggling because of living in a dome. Yep. Yo, shout out to Jimmy. He said Kamala never had to talk till now. Due to her looks. Shout out to Tony07. Appreciate it. Shout out to Malcolm. He said, keep up the hard work, AM. Shout out to Big Mike. He said, no fathers and public education is the start. Yep. Shout out to Gary. He said, God spared us on November 5th. Yep. That's why I'm not worried about nothing. You got a lot of people that's, they all of a sudden they getting worried and stuff, getting scared. Look, it's in God's hands at this point. It's in God's hands at this point. Shout out to Manuel. Appreciate you. Shout out to AH. He said love and support. It's in God's hands at this point. But listen to this. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the sound. This is this right here is what he plans on doing. Shout out to Chip. He said clothing and shoes are on sale now also. Shout out to One Mike, said they relaced their laced religion with their leftist ideology. That's why they are so rabid. But check this out. We're going to play this real quick.
Third, we will totally reform. Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively. Second, we will clean out all of the corrupt actors in our national security and intelligence apparatus, and there are plenty of them. The departments and agencies that have been weaponized will be completely overhauled so that faceless bureaucrats will never again be able to target and persecute conservatives, Christians, or the left's political enemies, which they're doing now at a level that nobody can believe even possible. Third, we will totally reform FISA courts, which are so corrupt that the judges seemingly do not care when they are lied to in warrant applications. Or the left. So many judges have seen so many applications that they know were wrong, or at least they must have known. They do nothing about it. They're lied to. Fourth, to expose the hoaxes and abuses of power that have been tearing our country apart, we will establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to declassify and publish all documents on deep state spying, censorship, and corruption. And there are plenty of them. Fifth, we will launch a major crackdown on government leakers who collude with the fake news to deliberately weave false narratives and to subvert our government and our democracy. When possible, we will press criminal charges. Sixth, we will make every Inspector General's office independent and physically separated from the departments they oversee, so they do not become the protectors of the deep state. Seventh, I will ask Congress to establish an independent auditing system to continually monitor our intelligence agencies to ensure they are not spying on our citizens or running disinformation campaigns against the American people, or that they are not spying on someone's campaign like they spied on my campaign. Eighth, we will continue the effort launched by the Trump administration to move parts of the sprawling federal bureaucracy to new locations outside the Washington swamp. Just as I moved the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, as many as 100,000 government positions could be moved out, and I mean immediately, of Washington to places filled with patriots who love America, and they really do love America. Ninth, I will work to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate. So they deal with these companies and they regulate these companies, and then they want to take jobs from these companies. Doesn't work that way. Such a public display cannot go on, and it's taking place all the time, like with Big Pharma. Finally, I will push a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. This is how I will shatter the deep state and restore government that is controlled by the people and for the people. Thank you very much.
And that right there, my friends, is the reason why they're worried. That right there is that last part, term limits. That's why they're in a frenzy. As far as those in government, right? See, the people that don't like him, the reason they're in a frenzy is because they've believed all of the things that they've been told about him and see, let me tell you something. The way that the people that support Kamala have been programmed, everything he just said sounds like he's going to be a dictator. You and I will hear all of that and be like, okay, cool. They'll hear it and be like, oh, he's a dictator. Shout out to Mr. Greg Nificent. He said that video was fire. We need that. Trump 2024. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that is the reason why they are, in such a frenzy and so upset, because they're like, okay, what is he getting ready to do? He's getting ready to dismantle this BS that they've been engaged in. You feel me? But see, here's the thing. The American people have been wanting term limits forever. Guess what else? We want the news to report the news honestly down the middle. Guess what else? We understand what happened during 9/11. We understand terrorist threats. But ever since that Patriot Act, that's been violating the rights of the American people. Our government shouldn't be spying on us if they're doing it. There's a lot of things that he said that make perfect sense. But, like I said, they're going to spin it. They're going to try to make it seem like he's some power-mad dictator or something crazy. And you know they're going to say, oh, he's trying to go after his political opponents. Is he? Or is he trying to make sure that everybody is operating the way they're supposed to be operating? And you know what? Here's the irony of it. This is the irony of it. I don't want to hear nothing that none of them have to say, because they sat back and was cool with everything Joe Biden did. No matter how messed up it was, they was cool with it. When the inflation went up, they was cool with it. When they was sending money to everybody and they mama except us, they was cool with it. When they did that raggedy pull out of Afghanistan, everybody was cool with it. They was cool with everything Joe Biden did. When they opened the border and all them people poured in, they was cool with it. They were cool with everything. Shout out to Do Something Different. He said, Daddy's home, time to get the house in order. It's already in order. Because guess what? The moment they realized he got elected, it's almost like everybody across the world was like, uh-oh, Dad coming home. They started cleaning up. Shout out to Tolly. Shout out to Black Glass. They started cleaning up. Like, hot damn, party over. But I told y'all, when I saw him meeting with certain people about a month or so ago, when I saw him meeting with Netanyahu, when I saw him meeting with Zelensky, when I saw him meeting with all of these people and nobody in the media had an issue with it, they knew he was about to win. They knew. They knew. See, what they knew as far as the data isn't what they were telling you as far as the data. They knew. They were just hoping and praying that people would think or believe that Kamala was going to win by a landslide, which would deter Republicans from voting. That's what they were banking on. I guarantee you. That's what they were banking on. They were hoping and praying. They were hoping and praying that we would be like, oh, it's hopeless. And then just fall back and not vote. But no. Folks came out early and voted. And just like Joe Rogan said on his show, he said, you know what we found out? Press 1 if you want to know what we found out this election. Press 1 if you want to know what we found out this election. We found out voting works. That's what we found out. So all you Negroes that have been running around here, the Dr. Umars, all you other clowns, it's like, we don't pick the president. The people's vote don't matter. They pick who they want to pick. Donald J. Trump is living proof that that is a lie. Because trust and believe, if they had the ability to do that, his ass would not be president. This election proved definitively that the people do pick the president. So all those lies about, oh, we don't pick the president, and it, like, I don't want to hear that no more. I don't even want to hear that no more. If you start the conversation with that, the conversation gonna be over. We not even gonna talk. We not even gonna have a conversation. We not even gonna have a conversation. At that point, you will be wasting my time with your conspiracy theories. You feel me? So, at the end of the day, I must say, the future looks bright. I pray that God protects that man. Shout out to Michelle, said Kamala would have had Rainbow Bright as VP and the Powerpuff Girls and Strawberry Shortcake in government. She definitely would have. It would have been a whole circus. It would have been a whole circus. But anyway, I've been on here long enough. If you have not went and checked out my book, The Angryman Standard, definitely go over to Amazon and check it out. All you have to do is type The Angryman Standard in the search bar and it will come up. It's available in hardcover and paperback. If you would like to check out the merchandise, you can click the link on the screen or you can go to shopBinoNation.com. Again, that's shopBinoNation.com. But other than that, man, salute to everybody that came through. I appreciate you guys for being patient with me at the beginning of the show. Appreciate you guys for showing love, all of that good stuff. But I'm going to get up out of here and holler at you guys tomorrow. Deuces.
Spartans! What is your profession?